Sports.
We are Black We are Ohio.
Yes, indeed, it's pouring down rain outside of Milwaukee, but that is of no concern to those who bought a ticket tonight thanks to the roof, the retractable roof at Miller Park. Game one of a three-game series between the Reds and the Milwaukee Brewers. Hi again, everybody. Alongside Chris Welsh and Jim Day, I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to Reds baseball. All right, out of the division, the last homestand had Cleveland and Arizona, and of course the Giants swept them over the weekend. But now, Chris, back in the NL Central, where three other teams are in serious contention.
You're right, and the Reds will have a lot to say about who comes out ahead and who is on top at the end of it all. You see, the Reds are here in Brewertown, and they're going to go down and play the Cubs throughout the weekend. And they host the Brewers and the Cardinals there as we turn into the month of September. They've also got the Pirates coming up. This is good interleague baseball. These are good ball clubs.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of teams that are in the other league that really aren't that good. We just saw the San Francisco Giants. They're not all that good, but I think every one of these teams in this division feel like they can win it.
Let's talk about the shortstop, Jose Peraza. We've talked on how he continues to get better and better and better, and Chris, he's coming off his best homestand of the entire season.
Well, he's a great athlete, number one, and the question was whether he would ever be able to slow the game down, give himself enough confidence to get up there and really give good at bats. He's still dinking the ball into right field, but guess what? He's also hitting the ball into the seats. And that's one thing that Peraza has, a very quick bat. He's learning to play shortstop very well. I mean, a little by little, this young man is becoming a guy that you don't have to worry about. Just put his name in the lineup.
Let's shift gears now to the Brewers, a team 3.5 games behind the front-running Cubbies atop the National League Central. They went out and made some moves for offense at the trade deadline, and the big acquisition, Mike Moustakas, who we saw earlier this year with Kansas City.
Craig Counsell loves offense. I can tell you that right now. He went to the front office and said, if you can't get me pitching, get me guys that can swing the bat. And Moustakas is that kind of guy, hitting the ball very well since coming over here. There's his average in the 20 games he's been here with the Brewers. And, hey, what better way to welcome yourself to a new ball club than pick him up a little bit offensively?
And, of course, that goes along with some other players that are very good offensively. The two big acquisitions they made during the offseason, Lorenzo Cain and Christian Yelich, have been really good, especially Yelich.
Well, they have been good, and Yelich gives them another left-hander, and so does Moustakas. And as we see, they really put a lot of pressure on right-handed pitching when they come in here, especially in this ballpark. Good place to hit, and it's a not very difficult place to pitch.
When we come back, we'll check in with Jim Day. He's been patrolling that Reds clubhouse and out in front of the dugout. A giant sweep for the Redlegs over the weekend. Jim has more on that on Fox Sports Ohio.
Their award-winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer. By Skyline Chili, feeling good, it's Skyline time. And by Buick. You know, rain won't stop those from Wisconsin from tailgating, perhaps the tailgate capital of the country, a very underrated tailgate state. I'm Jim Day on the field. Reds coming into this series riding a 3-game winning streak. And it's no secret in baseball, starting pitching is pretty much how you go. And you look back at the weekend. Friday, Anthony DeSclafani, 7 2/3, 1 earned run, and 5 strikeouts. Matt Harvey backed it up on Saturday, 6 1/3. How about no runs and 5 strikeouts? And on Sunday, the strike pumping machine yesterday was Luis Castillo, 6 2/3, only 1 earned run, 9 strikeouts. And when you get good pitching and solid hitting, you're in business. And our up-and-out storylines, Reds offense in the 11-4 win yesterday versus the Giants. 9 extra base hits. That's the 3rd time they've done it this season. First time with multiple doubles, triples, and home runs since 2012. That's how long ago that last happened. And in 2 separate innings, they hit for the cycle as a team. They might need that kind of offense against the Brew Crew because they are right in the hunt of the playoff race. First of 3 here from Milwaukee. Coming up, lineups and first pitch, Bailey versus Anderson. Tom and Chris are next.
Well, you can start to tell this time of year school back in place because we're so used to, through the years, seeing much bigger crowds than we have here tonight. But a decent crowd nonetheless, and we're dry. That's the bottom line. Jim Riggleman, his team 52 and 54 since he took over as manager for Brian Price. And his starting lineup reads as follows. Hamilton again at the top. Peraza at short and Jeanette at second. Those 3 were lights out yesterday, leading the way to 11 runs in the win over the Giants. Suarez, Tucker, and Urban, the middle third. Barnhart, Dixon for the injured Votto, and Homer Bailey. And starting at 4, Milwaukee. This will be his 25th start of the year. 7 up, 7 down for the native Texan. He's 30 years old. Chase Anderson.
For Chase Anderson, this is career start 128. He is 8 games over 500 with a pretty good earned run average, right? A 3.8 in his career. A guy that spent some time with the Arizona Diamondbacks before he came over here last year where he was starting 25 games, start number 25 tonight for Anderson. Fastball, changeup, command is a must for him to get deep into a game.
All right, so here we go. Billy Hamilton back at the top of that Reds batting order. And boy, when he's getting on, things are happening. First pitch is in there. Strike one, says Adrian Johnson. Tripp Gibson, the umpire at first. Ryan Additon at second base, and the crew chief Hunter Wendelstedt is at third. No strike, nothing in two. Hamilton, a .333 batter. The last 11 games. And coming off his best homestand of this season, a .357 batting average. He had a double, couple of triples. And here's the 0-2 pitch.
And he'll do that a lot. Anderson will try to chase the ball up the zone a little bit. A pitch that high, though, is truly a waste pitch. And the one thing that's kind of held him back is his ability to command that very top of the zone. I mean, that's basically the same as throwing the ball in the dirt if you're a sinker ball pitcher.
Ground is short, charging and getting rid of it quickly is Stoke. And that's out number one. We look at the Brewers on defense, and man, have they made some changes since the last time we saw them. Not so much in the outfield. They have Braun healthy, Kane in center, Yelich brought in from Miami during the offseason. But along the infield, Moustakas in a trade, Scope in a trade from Baltimore, Shaw, the native of Washington Courthouse, moves from third over to second. Aguilar having a big year. Travis Shaw had never played second base in his career until they made that deal for Moustakas, and now he's there pretty regularly. Peraza an easy out on the first pitch, 2 down. Nice round of applause for Scooter Gennett, who of course came up a Milwaukee Brewer, was a good player here. He's become a great player, great offensive player for the Reds in his 2 years wearing Cincinnati red. I mean, some of the numbers that Gennett has put up since the Reds picked him off the scrap heap prior to the season last year at the end of spring training have just been mind-boggling. One of 6 players to produce at least 45 home runs and 169 RBIs in his first 2 seasons with the Reds. We're talking about guys like Brandon Phillips, Ken Griffey Jr., Dave Parker, Darren Johnson, and Gus Bell. That's how good Gennett has been. He's trying to become the first player ever in franchise history to do all those things while hitting at least 300. He's been a career .305 batter with the Reds. Cubs are off tonight. These Brewers begin play 3.5 behind Chicago. The Cardinals will be playing out west tonight against the LA Dodgers. Cardinals are 4 back. Front running Chicago a half game behind these Brewers after knocking them off 2 out of 3 over the weekend. On Scooter.
And really what we're seeing out of Anderson is he kind of gets ahead by being aggressive, and then nibble finds himself into a hitter's count, or at least an even count.
Pulls a string on him to get strike 3, and it's a perfect first inning for Anderson. Homer Bailey gets the ball for the 17th time when we come back. Born in South Bend, Indiana, but grew up just up the road north of downtown Milwaukee. His father used to work for the Brewers, and he has his team right in the hunt once again, as they were a year ago. The starting lineup has Christian Yelich, Lorenzo Cain. He just flip-flopped them a few days ago. Moustakas at third, Aguilar, Shaw, and Braun in the middle. Scope, Pena, Anderson, the latter third. Homer Bailey's record is 1-10. In his 16 starts this year, the Reds have won as a team one game. They've lost 15 of his 16 starts as a team. The only game he won and the team won came in a 5-inning start where he allowed 10 hits and 3 runs all the way back on May the 12th at Dodger Stadium. And he was coming off 2 really rough outings. 3 1/3, 5 runs against the Mets, 5 1/3, 5 runs against Cleveland.
Just trying to figure out really how to get off the schneid, get a little good luck going, and sometimes you create your own luck. But this is going to be a challenge for him tonight, because the Brewers, with all the left-handed sluggers that they have, and they've got a bunch of them, in a ballpark that where they like to hit, even though they're going through a little bit of a funk right now, this is a Brewer team that is kind of poised to get it going, and they're looking at this next stretch of games ahead of them where they can do some damage.
1 ball, 2 strikes on the uber talented Christian Yelich. That pitch just ate him up, ran in on his hands, and that's in time on the throw from Jeanette. Look at the Reds on defense, presented by Ford. Been shifting around in that outfield pretty regularly. Tucker, Hamilton, Urban tonight. Suarez, Peraza, Jeanette seemingly every night, and Brandon Dixon still for the injured Joey Votto went on the disabled list prior to the weekend. They made that retroactive, you may recall, to last Wednesday. And now it's no longer at 15 to yell, as many of you know, but they changed it from 15 down to 10. Drilled in the back is Lorenzo Cain, and that was with a fastball.
Well, I mean, this misses the mark by a long shot right here. You got to wonder what's going on there with Homer Bailey. Certainly didn't mean to do it according to his reaction right there. I mean, all the numbers that you read earlier, Tom, the 1-10 record, the 1-15 record the Reds are with him on the mound this year, the high earned run average, the inability to go deep into the game, all those things you have to leave in the parking lot here if you're Homer Bailey. Tonight you've got to be really mindful of what's going on right now. Be totally in the present, pitch by pitch. You can't worry about anything else. You have to worry about the what, not the what if. And I think that the way Bailey's gone, I mean, even in those innings where he's pitched good, he's gotten bad results. You know, broken bat base hits, seeing eye base hits, and so on. And then when you let that get into your mental psyche, that can really get out of hand.
Cain is very much a base stealing threat, not necessarily a great percentage base stealer. He has 23, he's been thrown out 7 times, but he's a threat. Here's Moustakas. With Kansas City, a .249 batter, 20 home runs, 62 runs batted in. Been a much better average hitter in a short amount of time. Tonight his 21st game since a trade. .290, 2 home runs, 12 knocked in. Just an excellent, rock-solid player. For many, many years, played in, of course, a pair of World Series for the Kansas City Royals, winning one. Two and one on Moustakas.
Well, when you've got a lineup of left-handers and you're a right-handed pitcher, you've got to have a pitch you get those lefties out with. And really the go-to pitch for Homer Bailey, we've talked about it before, is his changeup. And he uses a split finger grip on that pitch, much different than a circle change. But the idea is the same.
Runner goes, swing and a miss, and that's a strike him out. Oh, he's safe at second base. Looked like they had him. Good throw. 2 down in the inning.
Somehow Lorenzo Cain got his arm in there. Scooter Gennett would like to know how. The check swing, that high fastball is almost like a pitch out. And a perfect throw by Scooter Gennett. It does look like he gets his hand in there.
Number 24, that'll bring Aguilar to the plate. Wound up on the All-Star team, of course, this year, and deservedly so. He was voted in as a final member by the fans, you may remember. This guy has had a monster season. Brewers fans, a lot like the Reds fans a number of years ago, really came out in mass. He beat Brandon Belt, Matt Carpenter. I mean, you beat somebody from St. Louis and from LA, Max Muncy, in a vote. 29 home runs, 89 runs batted in for the big first baseman, former Cleveland Indian farmhand. Two and 0. Good 2-0 pitch here under the knees for a strike. High fly ball into right field, and Irvin over near the line will squeeze it tightly for the final out of the inning. No score. End of 1 in game 1. The best season of his major league career, and you figure the best is still yet to come. A new career high, 27 home runs. He got it in the game yesterday, and now is the league leader again in runs batted in, 91 of them. Scoreless game as we begin the second inning, a 3-game series, night games tonight, tomorrow, and afternoon till Wednesday. The Reds will jump on the bus and make their way south to Chicago. Open a 4-game series Thursday night, then 3 straight day games Friday, Saturday, Sunday against the front-running Cubbies. High drive into deep left center field, and the career high just keeps on climbing. 28th home run of the year for Eugenio Suarez. Wow, what a year, what a year. 1-0 Redlegs. I mean, that ball just clobbered there by Suarez. And now a roller to the right side from short right field. Shaw throws out Preston Tucker. Man, oh man, Suarez. It's just mind-boggling. Here we are, the 20th of August. 92 runs batted in. 28 home runs. And Anderson will give up the long ball. I mean, that's 25 of them, but you know, he generally is not giving up the long ball with a lot of guys on base. That ERA is still in the 3s. And this one in the air by Irvin into deep left center field. And that one is out of here. Second solo home run of the inning. 2-0 Cincinnati. Irvin, number 4. Brings Tucker Barnhart to the plate. 248 batter, 8 home runs, and 38 batted in. Tucker has a 6-game hitting streak, 7 for his last 21. Popped up, and that is the shortstop Scope, 2 out. Baseman Brandon Dixon batting down in that number 8 spot. Two home runs, 6 runs batted in for Brandon Dixon. And a breaking ball snaps in there, a called strike to Brandon. Starting now for the 6th time at first base over the last 14 games, and that is a rocket in the left field, but Braun to get it to in the inning. Wow. But the Reds flexing their muscles here in the second inning. A pair of solo home runs. Suarez been doing it all year long, and Irvin on a pretty good run here of late as well. Reds are off and running. Spotting Homer Bailey to a 2-zip lead. Travis Shaw, Ryan Braun, Jonathan Scope, the scheduled trio.
A little breathing room anyway there for Homer Bailey.
Power numbers are still pretty good for Shaw. 24 home runs. He has 69 runs batted in, but the batting average has been way down. Down the right field line. Foul ball to the second deck. And a good thing for Homer Bailey. Just missing. Number 25.
Looked like an off-speed pitch that he got on the inner part of the plate right there and just left it. And Shaw's not sure. It didn't go all that much foul, but the ball was hitting well. In command here, 0-2 count. Looks like Homer Bailey's cutting his fastball a little bit tonight. It's only coming in there at 92 miles an hour. Sometimes when you cut it and you want it to go into left-handers, it naturally takes a little bit off the speed of the pitch. The big slider right there. He'll also mix in a curveball, a little slower than the slider, and then of course that split finger pitch, which is 83, 84 miles an hour. Big difference right there, especially when it comes to the power numbers.
And a 3-2 is on the ground. That's a shortstop, Perpetuating. Now Ryan Braun. Braun trying to stay healthy here, closing out the year. Brewers all-time franchise leader in home runs. He's second in RBIs, over 1,000 of those already. Second most extra base hits, third in runs, on and on and on and on. But he's been on the disabled list a couple of times already this year. It's been a bad back that's bothered him all year long. And then most recently, he's had some pain in his rib cage and had to sit him down a couple of days when they were playing the Cubs and then the Cardinals last week. 14 home runs, 47 knocked in, and Braun a .250 batter. Suarez will handle the bouncer to third, 2 down.
A nice easy work so far for Homer Bailey. The only base runner the Brewers have had is that hit by pitch batter on the very first pitch, Lorenzo Cain.
Now Jonathan Scope has been a good offensive player the last number of years for the Baltimore Orioles. Hit .244 over there with the Birds this year, 17 homers, 40 batted in. He has had a really hard time so far since the trade. Tonight his 17th game. Just a .163 hitter, 2 doubles, no homers, 3 knocked in.
Yeah, and the power numbers are even worse than that. I mean, he's slugging .180 in the time here with the Brewers, which is kind of ironic because before he was traded over here, he was the reigning player of the week in the American League. So the Brewers are thinking, well, we're getting a guy, not only is he a good player over the course of his career, will be a free agent after this year, but he's also very hot right now. Well, he's cooled off here in a hurry. You know, you never really know how a player is going to react to a trade emotionally. You know, you tear him from a ball club that he was with for a long, long time. The Orioles were going nowhere. I'm sure that the clubhouse was not a great clubhouse when you lose as many games as they're in. And then you come over here, but the expectations are that we expect this guy to take us to greatness. Sometimes they put a lot of pressure on themselves.
Yes. Three balls and a strike. Two-out walk to Scope to keep the inning alive for the number 8 batter, the catcher Manny Pena. First walk given up by Bailey, who's also hit a batter. Brewers without a hit so far. Pena 241 has knocked in 19. There's a rocket in the left center field, and this will send Scope on to third. They're going to hold him there. Well, it's a good thing they got in quickly. He was getting first to third right now.
And he can run a little bit. Scope can. This ball hit like a bullet. Pitch up out over the plate right here for Pena. And he sends it into left center field.
I got to ask you, we don't see the Orioles play at all this year. How does a guy who run like that have one stolen base attempt and does not have a stolen base all year long?
Yeah.
How does that happen?
Yeah, they don't run as much in the American League normally, and when you're down in the ball game a lot, you know, when you're out of the game, you're not going to press your running game. I imagine that's the only thing. And the stolen base not what it once was.
No, you're right, but I mean, you think you just picked one up by accident? Guy forgets to pay attention to you at first base, something like that. To have 0, it's hard to believe. He was moving. All right, here's the pitcher, Anderson. 4 hits and 36 at bats. Ball, 1 strike, 2 on, 2 out, and dribbled foul, and Bailey has him around the neck at 1 ball and 2 strikes. A foul ball the other way. Runner will take second base. That'll be a steal by Pena.
He was just gambling, and he gambled right that the Reds were not going to give up their position in the event that Chase Anderson hits a weak ground ball and happens to go where, say, Scooter Gennett once was standing. So you want to hold your position as long as you can. It looks bad because you got the, nobody covering the bag down there. But neither of them were edging at all towards second, and that's what the Brewers read.
Smart play by the Brewers.
It is.
Get the tying run out there at second base in scoring position. And now Bailey nibble, and it's 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Well, all he's got to do is take a look in the on-deck circle to give him some incentive here to throw a strike to the opposing pitcher.
That would be Christian Yelich. All right, big pitch here for Bailey. His team gave him a 2-0 lead in the top of this inning. Struck him out. Brewers strand 2. They get their first hit. End of 2. Reds 2. Brewers nothing.
The English language, part of which is learning the United States national anthem. And boy, does he belt it out. I mean, big time. He wanted to learn the words, their meaning, and here's Jose in Inglés.
I like to sing the night anthem because I respect this country. You know, I'm happy to be here. And I like it. It's important for me because I try to speak English. It's good for me when I feel better, and I like to sing.
He's from Venezuela, loves his home country, but those that are from Venezuela, boy, it's a whole different world over there, and man, do they appreciate the lifestyle here in the United States. He respects the anthem, respects the language, and he's a very pleasant guy to be around.
Well, especially what's going on in Venezuela right now. If anybody picks up a newspaper, it is just absolute chaos down there right now. And I'm sure he's very concerned about his family, as are the other Venezuelan players. And you know, it's interesting. When we were in Detroit, Eugenio Suarez and I just happened to be sitting there with Peraza after a game one night. And Peraza, or Suarez, was talking to Peraza about that idea of starting to do more interviews in English. And, you know, Eugenio asked me about it, and I just said, you know, look, for any Latin-born player, it takes tremendous courage to put yourself out there. And you might make mistakes. And, you know, the fear that people might laugh at you or you say something wrong. That's their greatest fear, is that they say something that they may not understand is wrong, and there might be a reaction to it that leads to something bigger that they never intended to happen. So they stay pretty much in a cocoon, in a shell oftentimes, and don't try it. He should feel very good about himself. And I know Jim Day has a lot to do with that. The fact that the players feel the way they do about Jim Day, the relationships that he builds with these players, and Joey Votto and Brandon Phillips and others through the years, and the Latin players once they come here. He makes them feel really like they're one of his own family. Well done, Jim Day, well done. Not surprised at all. Strikeout of Homer Bailey to begin this inning, the second of the game for Anderson. Reds a 2-0 lead as they bat here in the third inning. 0-2 on Billy. And that's all for Hamilton.
Yeah, a lot better command here, it seems like, now starting the third inning than he had the first couple.
MLB.TV is now available at a lower price for $49.99. You can watch every game live or on demand. Visit MLB.TV to take advantage of this very, very special offer. See all the big games down the stretch in Major League Baseball. Now Peraza. Fouled away by Peraza. Anderson trying to strike out the side. He's ahead of Jose Peraza, who rarely ever strikes out. One of the toughest hitters in the game to strike out, in fact. In fact, he's best in all the National League.
Well, that's because he's so good at just kind of slapping the ball to the right side. And, you know, even as you size up the Brewers defense, they still don't buy into the fact that he likes to dump the ball into shallow right field. You basically have Yelich out there in right field playing a normal depth in right. And the same way with Lorenzo Cain in center field.
2 strikes on Peraza, and Anderson throws that left leg in the air, and he jumped all over. Look out down there, Jim Day. Want to make sure Jim Day's okay down there. That hit you down there?
It came close. Now
all right?
Howard, oh, I'm good. Howard missed this big melon here. Here, I'm behind the camera. Over here.
Well, there's a reason why it missed you. You got behind a woman.
No, that is not true. It flew.
I mean, you got behind a woman.
Tom, come on.
Is that what you just did?
No, that's where my seat is. It's the angle of the camera.
I know, but when the ball came over there, did
No.
you duck behind her?
I didn't have a chance to duck. That ball was smoked.
Yes, it was. That was scary. Now, I'm glad everybody's okay. You know I'm just ribbing you. Hey, but by the way, back to the Peraza thing. I give you all the credit in the world, my man.
I've never looked better on camera than that shot, by the way. But go ahead.
But no, I'm serious. Getting Peraza to do that, I really thought that was cool. Really did think it was cool.
Well, what
and
you were talking about.
I know our viewers felt the same way.
It was Suarez again, even today, before we did the interview, you know, coaxing him along to say, go ahead and do this. And you know, there's a trust factor built up. He knows we're going to take care of him.
Absolutely. That's what you built with these guys. That'll end the inning. Let's lead 2-0.
pieces of one-of-a-kind items from Reds history, and you're looking at many of them right here. Past and present. Items include banners, photos, signage, and furniture from Great American Ballpark. The auction runs until tomorrow. Fans can view auction items and place bids at ebth.com/Cincinnati Reds. That's ebth.com/Cincinnati Reds, including that, the bat signal, although it shoots a Reds signal into the air. That's a cool item.
Very nice. All right, here we go in the Brewers' third inning. It'll be the top of the order. Yelich, Kane, Moustakas against Bailey. Reds 2, Milwaukee nothing. That's it. The thing about this Brewers team, you talk to those who watch them regularly. They have a lot of very talented offensive players. Yelich thrown out for a second time by Jeanette, but as a team, this team can really, really struggle on offense. They are 10th in the league in runs scored. And as Chris mentioned earlier, you know, Greg Counsell felt like they needed to get some offense to enhance their chances going down the stretch to get into the postseason. And, you know, Moustakas has been good. Scope has done next to nothing. Aguilar's had a very quiet second half so far. Yelich has been really good. And Shaw, the power numbers are pretty good, but the batting average is way down.
Well, which, if you're following the Brewers, you're thinking, you know, it's almost a good thing that they've struggled the way they have. You go back to July the 6th, and the Brewers were 2.5 games in first place. They were 53-35. But since that time, they've really struggled. They've won 16, they've lost 22. So, you know, they're looking at it from the positive angle, saying, well, look, we're still in this thing, even though we've struggled. We're due to play some good baseball.
And look, the average runs are basically a wash, but it's been the pitching where they struggled. Kane bangs one into center field, a base hit. Second hit for the Brewers.
So payback right there for Lorenzo after hitting the wallet on his first at bat. Little slider, he kind of hung right in there on the inner third.
So now we're getting into the big hitters. Moustakas struck out his first time up. There's a tapper down to first. That's a fair ball. Dixon for one. Relay throw. And not going to be in time. Moustakas hustling up the line. But they cut down the lead runner.
I think Lorenzo Kane may have just lost that ball, didn't know where it was, or thought it was going foul, because he kind of stayed at first base, didn't run at all. Watch him here, up here, this part of your screen. He kind of stops and then finally goes, and he's out by a long shot. And the Reds just unable to get the double play taken care of.
Here's Aguilar. He flied out to right field, ending the first inning. Hooked into left field, a base hit, second hit of the inning will advance Moustakas on to second. And a chance for Travis Shaw with 2 on. Brewers left 1 in scoring position in the first. They stranded 2 in scoring position in the second. And now they have 2 on with 2 outs here in the third.
Well, Shaw had that long foul ball home run that just missed the foul pole going down the right field line his first time up. Eventually fell victim to an off-speed pitch, a 3-2 changeup, and an easy ground out. See how Homer Bailey goes about him this time.
Right, here it comes, and it's on the inside corner, strike one.
Well, that's a perfect pitch right there. Just watch the way Travis Shaw sets up. Big guy, holds the bat high. I mean, he's telling me he wants that ball down and out over the plate. Thigh high, outer third would be about perfect for him. So you crowd him inside first. You try to take a little bit of that power away and show him the inside part of the zone. Now it looks like they're going the opposite side of the strike zone, down and away.
Seems like every time we see Shaw, he looks more and more like his dad, Jeff, doesn't he? Mom, Julie, wow, does he look like Jeff Shaw? I know. It's called genetics. Here's the 0-1. In the air to straightaway center. This will be easy for Billy. 5 left on base in the first 3 innings for the Brew Crew. 2-0, Reds in front. Brought to you by your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. And by Cincinnati Children's, now ranked number 2 in the nation by U.S. News and World Report. Well, they've had some big-time names in the history of Milwaukee baseball. I'd say the franchise, of course, that moved away, and they had the likes of Hammer and Hank Aaron and Eddie Matthews, among others. And once they became the Brewers, Hall of Famers Robin Yount, Paul Molitor, big hitters like Cecil Cooper, among others. Scooter Gennett with a count of 1-1 to lead things off. That's the Bob Uecker statue out there. The old TV commercial about his tickets. Well, what a character he is. He was in here with us for a long time today before the game.
What a funny guy.
Such a talented guy. I think his humor overshadows what an extraordinarily talented man Bob Uecker is. Funny. Had the long-running TV show. What was it, Mr. Belvedere, right? For many, many, many years on television. Used to go on the Tonight Show all the time.
50 years in baseball. He is now 84 years old. Boy, does he look good.
Looks great. Swims every day. Big swimmer. 2-2 pitch. Straight up into the air. Up near the rooftop. StatCast AI powered by AWS. What jumps out at you, Chris Welsh? You're always paying attention to some of this stuff.
Well, I like to close my eyes and listen, because when they sound like they do right there, 104 miles an hour, 105, I mean, I'm not so sure I get into the numbers as much as I do how it sounds and the pitcher's reaction.
Well, the two things you really break it down to the senses. You've been quoted many, many times. People will ask you about, some of the charts and graphs and so forth. And one of your standard comeback lines is always,
how many guys are on base?
I watch with my eyes. With my eyes. And now you're talking about just listening to the crack of the bat. I think he started that in Atlanta this year.
Nice to see Suarez come back and start swinging the bat a little bit better. It just seemed like he got into a real funk. I believe it was against either Arizona or Cleveland. They just started pounding the upper part of the strike zone against him. And you make a mistake down, though, that's the one that where he really hurt you.
A long time since a Cincinnati Red has led the league in runs batted in. You have to go back to the great Dave Parker. He came over to the Reds 1985, drove in 125, most in the National League, and now you have Suarez as the league leader, basically circling the third pole. Two-two on Suarez. 3-2. Shakes off his catcher on a 3-2 pitch. Breaking ball is in the air. Boy, Suarez would love to have that one back. 2 down. Upset with himself there as soon as it left the bat. Here's Tucker. He grounded out to the second baseman Shaw in the Reds' second inning. That's when they got the solo home runs from both Suarez and Irvin. Only 2 runs in this game so far tonight. Still a pretty good crowd here. I mean, most of the lower bowl folks in the second deck appears to be about 3/4 full. And as you move up, not bad at all for a Tuesday night, a rainy Tuesday night. Of course, rain doesn't have any effect in this ballpark. What a difference it makes. What a difference. Especially on a Monday.
Especially up here in this part of the country. They've got flash flood warnings here in the Milwaukee area tonight.
Boy, that Tuesday, what was it, a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? We were here earlier this year, and we already had all the snow on the ground and got more the last day of the series. They set an all-time record for the most snowfall in whatever the late date that was in April. Green Bay having, when we were here, over what, 30 inches as I remember, 33 inches, 34 inches. Up and in at Tucker, 1 ball, 2 strikes. I got snowed in here that night. Team left to get out of town. You guys barely made it out. There's a check swing and a miss, and that'll end the inning. 1-2-3 for Anderson, middle of the 4th. The Reds lead 2-0.
Glove catcher, getting 2 starts at first base. It was an odd week for the Reds. Reds Weekly presented by Miami Valley Gaming. New episode tomorrow or Wednesday. Reds Live at 6 p.m. Fox Sports Ohio. And you can also stream it on Fox Sports Go. And speaking of Tucker playing first base, his second start there, and had a ball go right through the webbing of his glove. It was Brandon Dixon's first base glove that he borrowed. Now check it out. I mean, it goes right through the glove. I asked Brandon Dixon, how much grief did you get from teammates? He said, not much, but except for Tucker. Tucker said, hey, why you give me a glove that doesn't work? And Dixon countered with, I've never had a problem with it. I think it's operator error. They had to use Votto's glove to finish out the game, but the glove doctor, Tomas Barrow, went to work, and that is the glove that went through the webbing yesterday. So it's all fixed and ready to rock and roll.
Now, see, Brandon's such a nice kid. If he would have been maybe on his toes a little bit and was asked that question, he could have fired right back at Tucker. Who do you think I'd rather see in a lineup? You at first base or me at first base? So if it goes through the glove when you're over there, hang with him. Go get your own first baseman's mitt.
So you're saying it might be a
I'm
conspiracy?
saying there could be.
Interesting.
That's right.
I had you for one of those conspiracy guys.
There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Ryan Braun is just ahead of the breaking ball. He's behind on the fastball. I mean, there was a time that, Ryan Braun seemingly was on every pitch that he was thrown. And now you can see now in kind of the waning part of his career, it's much more of a struggle than ever before. His on-base percentage now is right at 300. Career low. I mean, his career numbers, those you see what he's done in the month of August at 325. So he's coming along a little bit. But a career on base percentage of over 360. They're just pitching to him this year.
Nothing and 2 on Braun. And we'll do it again.
When Ryan Braun first came into the league at age 23 years old, Rookie of the Year in 2007, and then he put on a run where he was 3rd in the MVP vote, 11th, 15th, and then he won the MVP in 2011. Had 41 home runs that year.
Line into center field, a base hit. Yeah, a lot of those nagging injuries seem to have really caught up with him these last couple of seasons.
Leg injuries.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what happens to baseball players. It happens in every sport. But if you don't have your legs underneath you, you just can't drive the ball. I mean, he's always been an exceptional runner for a power hitter. And he plays hard.
Well, the Brewers have left 5 on base in the first 3 innings. They get a single by Braun to start this inning, and now a bouncing ball to the left side, which should be 2, and it is off the bat of Scope. And he's starting to hear it from some of the fans here. It's not what you'd call a chorus of boos, but you can hear them.
Well, you can see the big wind-up swing that he has right there. He's in the bottom of the order, and you got to feel like he's, putting more and more pressure on himself. When he took that swing, I mean, you can see him cock the bat so that the head of the bat started going towards the pitcher. It increases the big arc that you have to go through to get the hitting zone. It was late and rolls over into a ground ball.
So here's Pena. Breaking ball in there, a strike.
You really blame the whole, I guess, mess, if you want to call it, with the Brewers on Orlando Arcia. Because if Arcia had even an average year at shortstop, they wouldn't have to go out and get scope, they probably wouldn't have had to go get Moustakas. They would have concentrated more on getting pitching.
Charging Suarez, that's a catcher running. What a nice play by Eugenio Suarez. Barehanded pickup. The throw in time. Another big night for Suarez, a home run, and now this. Suarez doing it in Milwaukee. Reds take on the Dodgers Wednesday, September the 12th at half price. Plus, you'll get same-day admission to the Reds Hall of Fame and Museum. That's a great deal. 381 Reds or visit Reds.com. Some restrictions may apply. Some Reds fans here in Milwaukee tonight. Tell you, if you have the time, it's really not a bad car ride at all, driving up here. Once you get through Chicago, that's really the only, more times than not, outside of construction maybe going on somewhere. And I know there's some of it up 74 between Cincinnati and Indianapolis, but you take 4.5, you go from Cincinnati to Chicago. If you hit it at the right time, you can be from Chicago to Milwaukee in an hour and a half. So it's really not a bad ride. I could have driven it today.
Were you thinking about that, were you?
Quicker than I managed flying here. That's okay. We made it safe and sound. Thank God for that. Ground ball to the second baseman. And Irvin thrown out. All right, Mr. Pecoro, what is going on back in Cincinnati? You're right about that, Vic. That was hooked down to first base. You know, that's the thing we talked about when we saw Cleveland. No one wants to play that team. If they can get Trevor Bauer back, and that's a big if they get him back, no one wants to play that team in a short series. Where in 5 games, if everybody's healthy, all things being equal, you see Bauer, Kluber, Carrasco, very impressive. And hard to beat. Of course, the Yankees did it last year, but you may remember they were without Carrasco last year, breaking ball, and Kluber was hurt in the playoffs. Everybody knew it.
Yeah, and their bullpen has improved over what it was earlier in the year. Brad Hand being over there, Andrew Miller being healthy.
Brandon Dixon drops it foul out of play. 2 mistakes in this one by Anderson, and really that's it. He is not allowed a single base runner outside of the 2 solo home runs. And really that is not too far from being a perfect example of the way this guy has pitched over the last couple of years. Now he's not winning as many this year as he did last year, and his ERA is higher than it was a year ago. But with all the home runs he's allowed, we've shown you the most in the league. Opponents are hitting .220 against this guy. So he hadn't been a guy that's generally given up, 4, 5, 6, 7 runs and given up 8 or 9 base hits, and he's just strung together his 3rd straight 1, 2, 3 inning. He's retired 11 in a row.
Jr. at the plate. 11th inning, and watch the ball bound away from Jim Edmonds. Reds win this 5-4. Game tied at 2 until Jr. 3rd and final inside the park home run of his career. That was quite the celebration on that night.
That looked like that was against Andy Bennis out there on the mound. Is that possible? That's who that was? Yeah, it was. Andy Bennis. That was his 2nd go-round with the Cardinals. Came up with the Cardinals, and he left for a while and came back. It'll be the pitcher and then back to the top of the order in Yelich and Kane against Homer Bailey. Brewers left 5 on base in the first 3 innings. They got a leadoff single in the 4th, but then a double play ball and a bounced out. Facing just 3 batters was Bailey in the 4th inning. Here we go in the 5th. And Anderson out of there on strikes for the 2nd time.
Yelich has made a couple of very easy ground ball outs, both through the second baseman here, and both of them on off-speed pitches. They don't seem to be in a hurry about throwing him a fastball, although this may change right now.
Yep. Right down the middle, strike 1 to Yelich. Bailey with 3 strikeouts, 1 walk. He's also hit a batter. drive into deep left field, and the Brewers are on the board. They have all the young players in baseball today. I'm not so sure this young man's not the best of all of them.
It's a curveball that he just stays back on and basically supplies his own power. And the fact that he left the yard is one thing, but where that ball went, man, oh man, did he stay back and drive that the other way.
Big league catch out there in the stands, too. Number 20 on the year for Yelich. So just like that, it's a one-run ball game. And here is Lorenzo Cain. Foul ball. Cain singled his last time up, hit by a pitch his first time up.
I mean, that swing by Yelich, you got to think about that for a second now, because, you know, he gets a curveball that starts outside and ends up on the outer part of the plate. Yes, it's elevated a little bit, but unless Homer Bailey's just really telegraphing that pitch, I'm not sure how that guy was ready to hit it that far the other way.
Ball and one strike on Cain.
Take another look at the home run pitch by Yelich, and you see the curve. Well, now that I look at it, I mean, he hung it right there, but still, to be committed enough to stay back on it and drive it as hard as he did the other way, I mean, he read that baby right out of Homer Bailey's hand.
Bounces up there, goes to 2-2 on Cain. Two and two, the count, and Bailey going to work. Just slapped at it. That's a fair ball. Drifting into foul ground to get it is Brandon Dixon after it crossed the bag in fair territory for the second out of the inning. Here's Moustakas. He has struck out and reached on a fielder's choice on a tapper down to first base. Every game this time of year becomes so important for all these teams battling. You just never know. You're going to get down to, you know, a weekend where you look back and you say, man, how in the world did we fill in the blank? You know, lose 3 in a row to the Reds, lose 2 out of 3 to the Padres, whoever you want to pick. And that's what every single one of these games the rest of the way is going to be like for the Brewers and the Cardinals and the Cubs, among other contenders in baseball.
I mean, especially the Brewers in this series, when they take a look at the pitchers that the Reds are running out there. The bottom part of the rotation, Homer Bailey comes in 1-10 with a 6 earned run average. Sal Romano 7-10 with a +5 earned run average, and then Robert Stevenson with an earned run average around 8. I mean, sometimes you get to the point where you try not to, as a manager, allow your team to do this, but you're thinking, well, the Reds have lost this many games for a reason. We're getting the back end of their pitching staff. You know what can happen, though, is all of a sudden the game sneaks up on you, and you're in the 8th inning, you're down by a couple of runs.
And 2 on Moustakis. And Bailey, his 71st pitch. Try to get him to chase down and away. That fastball in on Moustakis. Better get it in there, or it'll be a tie game. And he got it right there. Upper part of the strike zone. 4 strikeouts for Bailey. A solo home run by Yelich. End of 5. Reds lead 2-1.
Of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Well, coming up later on, presented by Miller Lite, we'll have our whole true moment of the game. Of course, this is the very home of Miller Lite, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The Miller Brewing Company. You ever gone on a tour over there?
I have never been on the tour over there.
Pretty cool.
I bet it is.
Yeah, really cool.
Well,
Times have changed, though. Used to be a day, you got to the end of that thing, and you could hang around for a while.
Well, that's what I wanted to know. Are there samples at the end?
Well, there used to be as many as you wanted.
And do you have to go through the whole tour to get the samples?
You do. That's been tried. But it's worth the tour. I mean, it's really, really cool. But, times have changed for the better. We're making sure that people aren't walking out of there and drinking and driving and all that kind of thing. So not what it once was. 1-2 pitch. And that's outside to Bailey, followed by Hamilton and Peraza. 11 in a row set down by Anderson. He retired the first 3, gave up a home run. Retired a batter, gave up a home run. That's been it. 2 base runners, and they touched them all. And that's strike 3 to Bailey. And that's 6 strikeouts in the game and 12 straight retired by Chase Anderson.
Well, his command has gotten so much better than in that second inning. He just made a couple of bad pitches. Gave Suarez a pitch up that he took deep, and Phillip Ervin unjammed him on a high fastball.
Billy Hamilton is grounded to short and struck out. That's a nice pitch. 81 miles an hour, spins it up there. Another breaking ball dropped around the ankles of Hamilton. He swung at it, Popped it straight up in the air to the second baseman, Shaw, 2 out. Up, 2 down, the Cincinnati 6th. The Reds lead by a run, and here's Jose Peraza. He's flied out to right twice. Amazing how these retractable dome ballparks, and we talked about it going back to the days when they opened it in Arizona, when they opened it in Houston, when the Astros were still in the National League. Just the difference between the way this ballpark just strikes you when the roof is open as opposed to when it is closed. But they're glad it's closed tonight because it's been raining. 14 straight retired by Anderson. T-Mobile, Chris, he gave up 10 runs in his last 8 innings. What's the difference tonight for Bailey?
I think he's getting his breaking ball over. The other part, Tom, is that it seems like he's not trying to push his fastball. His fastball tonight, even though he's throwing one, I think, at 94 miles an hour, is right around the 92-mile-an-hour range. His command is much better with it. He's got a little bit of cut on it right there, and I think that he's just not pushing his pitches. He's pitching rather than throwing, and I think that's made a big difference. The Brewers, this is a mighty offense, and he's kept them at bay.
All righty, it'll be Aguilar to start things in the Brewers' 6th inning with the Reds in front, 2-1. 3 solo home runs in the game.
The other part is that he likes pitching right here at Miller Park. There aren't a lot of pitchers around baseball that can say that. 3 earned runs in the last 23 innings, including tonight.
Good breaking ball there at Jesus way out in front. Aguilar will be followed by Travis Shaw and Ryan Braun. 74 pitches on the night for Bailey as we begin the 6th. Went out there with a fastball, and it's fouled out of play.
Yeah, you see the difference in the quality of the swings that you get out of Aguilar when you throw him a changeup, where he was just reaching and flailing at it, and then a fastball. He was late on it, but he still had a much more, a healthier swing at it. Trying to go back to the breaking pitch. He's apt to chase a lot of stuff out of the zone.
This guy will hurt you with 2 strikes in the at bat. He's been a good hitter. 57 RBIs and 16 home runs, even when you get him in a 2-strike count. Those are pretty impressive for this big Milwaukee slugger. And a high pop-up appears to be playable. Who wants it? Yep. Out of play. Breaking ball low and away, and it's now 2-2 on Aguilar. Break-even pitch in a 1-run game. That's a nice piece of hitting by the big fella.
Sure is.
Really good hitting.
Well, a quality pitch with a quality swing at the other end, and he gets a little bit of an advantage right here, at least a little bit of luck Aguilar does by squirting through that hole on the right side. Look at Jeanette layout. I mean, this guy plays, I mean, he is going 90 north all the time, Jeanette is. All the time.
Out to the mound comes Tucker Barnhart before Shaw gets to the plate. Sure, the Reds will start to get some action quickly in their ball. Yeah, they do. In fact, Jared Hughes, a one-time Brewer, recently as a year ago, up and throwing. Broken bat pulled foul.
Oh, what a rip right there by Travis Shaw.
You needed a new piece of lumber after that swing. Still looking for one down there, apparently.
Well, he's got a little bit of word from the home plate umpire there saying, hey, let's go. The whole rule is, I believe, is that, you know, the batter has to have a few bats ready to go. Adrian Johnson is under pressure from MLB to keep the pace of the game going. And the only way he can do that is, you know, try to hurry up the players. Maybe Homer come right back in there again, see how many bats Shaw has. Backdoor breaking ball right there.
And that's to get ahead at 0-2. And the Brewers have taken a 1-run lead on an 0-2 pitch.
Well, I know what Homer's trying to do. You see how Tucker Barnhart is there, is kind of up on his haunches. They want the pitch up. And they want to tee Shaw up and out of the zone. But, you know, there's a spot where you just simply cannot miss. And that's low and in the strike zone. If you're going to miss, throw it to the screen. Shaw is ready and all over it. That's a shame because Homer Bailey's put together a pretty good body of work here tonight.
But I mean to tell you, Shaw was staring that one down. I mean, he walked about 7 or 8 steps up the first baseline. This one popped up to the right side off the bat of Brian Braun. Now Scope. Homer Bailey walked him in the second inning. He bounced into a double play in the fourth. So the Reds jumped out to a 2-0 lead. Those are the only 2 base runners they've had all night long against Chase Anderson.
I'll tell you, you know, that 0-2 pitch that Travis Shaw just hit out of here, that's the kind of pitch that'll keep Homer Bailey awake all night long. And it's probably plagued him throughout this season. Because he feels like his arm is there, his stuff is there, his command is pretty good, but you just make one bad pitch here or there to put your team down.
Taking ball down low, you know. Scope, a young man who grew up in Curacao. That's the same homeland as the great Andrew Jones. Remember him? And in fact, he played in a couple of Little League World Series for Curacao. They won it when he was playing in 2001 or 2004. I beg your pardon. He actually had a couple of hits that got the save in the clinching game on the mound. And that is a soft liner for the second out of the inning. The cool part about all that, winning the Little League World Series, but you know, when the players got back home, every member of the team was given a free McDonald's coupon for 1 year in Curacao. That sounds like a pretty good deal.
Even they can go into McDonald's as much as they want.
I don't know about as much as they want. I don't know all that.
That's a great idea.
It is a great idea.
One-time All-Star. Now 26 years old.
Look out, look out. Oh boy. That kid was getting ready to. He got hit by it and he looked like he's going to fight somebody over that bat.
Well,
and I'm wondering if that lady, maybe both of them, a gentleman's wife and then a kid as well, and moved into left field. Manny Pena has his second hit of the game. He came in batting in the very low 240s. And that's 3 hits in this inning against Homer Bailey. They have the left-hander Cody Reed. You do have the pitcher coming up. Now let's see what Craig Counsell is going to do. Boy, I am stunned. Counsell is taking his pitcher out of this game.
By the way he's throwing the ball right now, although they've got a very good bullpen, they have been leaned on a lot already this year. Chase Anderson, you know, I guess at the beginning of the game, if you would have asked Craig Counsell, if you can get 6 innings of 2-run baseball out of Chase Anderson, is that enough?
Well, I tell you what.
And he's probably got a couple of spreadsheets that shows him that Anderson loses it in the 7th inning.
You know, going back to your famous line, I use my eyes.
I agree.
And then my ears. This guy's retired 14 batters in a row.
I mean, there's 2 out and 1 guy on base.
Without a hard hit ball.
And you're sending up a hitter in Orlando Arcia that's batting 200.
But, you know, I have no doubt you're right. You know, Craig Counsell will be asked about it after the game, and they'll say, hey, look, you know, it is what it is on, you know, X, Y, and Z. He may not break it all down for everybody. But, I mean, the Reds have not even hit a ball hard except for the 2 home runs. They're their only 2 base runners of the entire game. But that certainly is a strength of this club, or it was until recently anyway. It's bullpen. Among the very best in all of baseball. So Anderson doesn't even reach the 80 pitch mark. 2 hits, 2 base runners, 6 strikeouts, no walks, 2 runs, but now he's in line for a win if that bullpen can keep the Reds from tying the game or taking a lead. I am really surprised. I mean, Craig Counsell's forgotten more baseball and knows his team better than we ever will, but wow.
That doesn't mean you can't guess along with him.
That's right. Well, we're first guessing, not second guessing. So if the bullpen comes in and slams the door, then good for him.
I mean, it's not a perfect science, even if the numbers suggest that a pitcher loses it normally after a certain amount of pitches, or number of times to the lineup, or anything else. I mean, you still have to have a little bit of a gut feeling. The more and more we see these moves made, that, you know, they've got a little piece of paper that'll cover them in case it goes awry.
And Arcia is just completely overmatched. I don't know.
Chase Anderson could have done that.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening to him. Brewers lead 3-2. Home run ball is the story tonight. Suarez, number 28, a career high in the 2nd inning. 2 batters later, Phillip Ervin, number 4, and a 2-0 Reds lead. Last 2 innings, though, after Homer Bailey went to front 4 without giving up a single run, Yelich played long ball to the 2nd deck the other way. That came in the 5th. And then in the 6th, after a single by Aguilar, Travis Shaw on an 0-2 pitch, a 2-run home run, giving Milwaukee a 3-2 lead. Josh Hader has been one of the most, if not the most dominant left-handed reliever in baseball this year. Pitched yesterday, pitched a perfect ninth to get his 10th save of the year, an all-star this season. In 59 1/3 innings, he leads all National League relievers with 105 strikeouts. How about that?
Also one of the more fun and interesting pitchers to watch pitch. I mean, just think about what it must look like from a left-handed side of the batter's box when Josh Hader comes at you.
Well, Scooter Jeanette's going to learn a little something about that right now. You see Arcia remains in the game to play short. Scope is out. And more than likely, depending, of course, on the pitch count and what happens, they're not afraid to use Hader for multiple innings at a time. He's made 16 appearances of at least 2 innings this season. High bouncer. Arcia. That's a nice pull.
That's one thing that Arcia can do very well, and that's on the defensive side of the game. He's about as slick as they come defensively from shortstop, and he comes a long way to make this ball and gets it on the high hop right there.
Right now, the big slugger Suarez. 28 home runs on the year. Got number 28 back in the 2nd inning tonight. Fastball in the outside corner of strike.
You know, I guess there were a couple of teams that thought that Josh Hader would simply never be able to conquer his wildness. He was originally drafted by the Baltimore Orioles, 19th round, so it wasn't all that sought after. Probably just a wild left-hander. Didn't probably throw anywhere near as hard as he does now, but he has some promise. And he was traded a year after he was drafted by the Orioles to the Houston Astros for Bud Norris. And the Astros, 2 years later, in 2015, traded him to the Brewers in a deal that included Mike Fiers and Carlos Gomez. And with him came Adrian Hauser, Domingo Santana, Brett Phillips. One of those multiple player deals that the Brewers have done so many of over the years. Well, that's an impossible pitch to hit. Might be an impossible pitch to see. Ask Adrian Johnson. It's hard. You get a guy throwing that hard. You know, you're in the slot, you're looking kind of across the catcher's shoulder to see that low outside part of the zone.
All right, payoff pitch coming here to Suarez. Reds down a run in the 7th. Long look in by Hader. And here it comes. Challenge with a fastball, and Suarez fouls it back out of play. $15 in a row set down by Milwaukee pitching. Pardon me, Chris.
You know, I'm still wondering about that Chase Anderson thing too, but maybe if you have Josh Hader in your bullpen, you know, why not use him?
Well, he's come in and picked up 2 quick outs.
Weapon to go to.
You know, neither one of these managers, and you made reference to it, that a lot of times we see managers in this day and age, you know, almost CYA kind of moves, right? Neither one of these managers strikes me much as a CYA kind of guy. You agree with that?
I think so, but I also think that they're both open to what the analytics department are showing them, saying, hey, you know, if you have a feeling this might happen, here it is in black and white, and we can prove it to you. So sometimes that can help them make a decision. If they're right on the fence, they're not really sure one way or another, hey, let's go to where the numbers and the trending says it should go.
I mean, Jim Riggleman has been able to, the first to acknowledge what you just said, you know, this year when he's seen some of his pitchers start to go through a batting order for the third time and the wheels fell off. And it's a good way of putting it. They're both open-minded to looking in some of the raw numbers.
Well, you have to be nowadays. Sure. I mean, you can't ignore them. But you also cannot forget that baseball has a heartbeat. Now, it's the old Joe Torre line. First confronted and talked about with analytics. And those managers that seem to be, you know, around the longest are the ones that get most out of their players, and they have that knack for interpersonal relationships.
Really, that's why Dusty Baker has been around so long and had so much success. There's strike three call, not 11 innings. By Delta Airlines. It's a two-day event. You get a dinner program, a comedy show, the opportunity to golf with a celebrity, including a former Reds player, a member of the local media. All proceeds benefit the Reds Community Fund. Great event. Register today at reds.com/Marty. Always a lot of fun.
Sure is.
Dielson Herrera, who came on to bat there for Tucker, will stay in the game and trying to bunt his way on, and bunting it foul is Yelich.
That's a good idea right there. You know, Yelich is facing a young, hard-throwing left-hander, and Cody Reed just coming in the ball game. You know, he probably doesn't know a whole lot about Reed, what Reed has or anything else, and why not just take what they're going to give you, which is a base hit if you can get it fair down the third baseline. A better spot for that, though, really would be the first baseline, because then you get the pitcher involved in the play, and that is sometimes a recipe for disaster.
Good outing tonight for Homer Bailey. 6 innings, 8 hits, 3 runs earned. He walked a batter, fanned 5, hit a batter. Was given a 2-0 lead. This ball is crushed by Yelich, but it will be to the deepest part of the yard and attract Hamilton to run it down. And Cody Reed picks up the first out of this 7th inning. What have been your impressions, Chris? You have been talking about patience, especially with young left-handers. David Holmberg and some of those guys in the past. What about Cody Reed?
You're going back a long way for David Holmberg, but I don't think you need quite as much patience for Reed as you may have had with Holmberg. You know, Reed is a guy that also has to have some patience, because You know, he's been told that the Reds want to see him start, and he wants to be a starter, but every time he comes to the major leagues, he's being used as a reliever. He had 1 start last year. He's had 1 start this year, and you have to continue to earn it. Nothing comes to you easy. But what I like about Reed is that he's not trying to overpower the hitters anymore, and he has a little bit better idea about his location. His delivery looks a little bit more under control. All the things that come with multiple innings and patience.
Well, that's a good looking pitch there to Lorenzo Cain. Cain's been on base twice tonight. Hit by a pitch, stole a base, and he singled. Gonna be a tough play here. Peraza, and safe for Carlos Cruz. Very close. Good effort there by Peraza, but Cain just enough to beat it.
Oh, what a quick release from Jose Peraza. One last leap at the very end for Cain.
Yep, he was there. They're going to ask to take a look at this. The Reds are going to challenge this call. Well, I'm not even going to go there. I've learned my lesson.
You really have nothing to lose, except maybe the momentum of the ball game one way or another.
Taking this long, because we've been surprised before.
% below MSRP on most 2018 Encore models when you finance through GM Financial.
Okay, we saw a different angle from the high first base side on the scoreboard here. That's part of their scoreboard replay. And here it is. So take a look at this. Maybe this is why the Reds are challenging. Very close. Safe as a ball. Stands. So Cain is on at first, jawing with some of his teammates over there. Good effort there by Peraza. All right, so here we go, bottom of the 7th inning. And Moustakas about it. It's a big inning here for Reed. Reds are counting on this guy to get outs. Now, you have a right-handed batter and Aguilar next. And they have action in their bullpen to the Reds. Jared Hughes again is thrown. In the air, deep left center field. Hamilton feels like he's running a track meet out there in this inning.
Now, this is one of his favorite ballparks to cover because the outfield is so big.
All right, does Jim Riggleman stay with the left-hander against Aguilar? Or does he bring in Hughes? Looks like he's going to stay with Reed.
I tell you, Reed's delivery looks so much better. I mean, the work with Jeff Passero that he's done down there in AAA, you know, just trying to get him to relax a little bit, not overthrow that slider of his, is he's throwing it for strikes, and that's a big key for him.
Swing and a miss. 1 ball and 2 strikes. And not going to be in time. Good effort again, but you know, a ground ball is able to sneak through, and all of a sudden it's 2 on.
You know, here I think is a spot where they're trying to sneak a fastball by Aguilar, and he's able to put pretty good wood on it right there. What an effort by Jeanette. I mean, this guy spends half the game diving after balls one way or another. 3rd hit of the night for Aguilar.
Now they're going to pinch hit for Travis Shaw. We showed you those numbers he has this year. Hernan Perez is sent up as a pinch hitter now. Jim Riggleman will counter that move by bringing in Jared Hughes from the bullpen to face Perez. So Cody Reed, 2/3 of an inning, allows 2 infield hits and a couple of long loud outs. So BR Skyline Chili called to the bullpen. Hughes to face Perez when we return. Reed to chase him with 2 outs. And now on the pitch. Boy, what a year he's having. Look at those numbers for Jared Hughes. Goodness gracious. What a year.
Well, he was here in Milwaukee last year. It didn't go quite as good as it has done for Hughes this year. Talked to a number of people about that here, and he has really gotten himself better. What happened to him last year is that he ended up, you know, elevating the fastball a little bit after he didn't get the calls down at the bottom of the zone. And they hit him around a little bit, but he worked on that this winter, and boy, oh boy, he's got that baby going straight down. Your run average, too.
You got that right. Then inducing ground ball after ground ball against virtually the entire league all year.
And it really comes down again to command. I mean, he's got good action on the ball, but he throws it at the perfect spot. And when he gets it up, he gets hit. When he gets it down out of the zone, it's a ball. But as long as he lives within about 3 or 4 inches, height-wise, he's going to get what the results he wants.
And it's a result he wanted right there. Comes in, gets a ground ball out on a couple of pitches to Strand 2. Reds have 6 outs to play with, down a run. Okay, gentlemen, there's a liner into left field, and that's caught out there in left by Braun. Boy, Urban hit that ball right on the screws against Hader, but it's a loud out. The Reds have only had not only the 2 hits, those are the only 2 base runners they've had all night long. And both those home runs came within a span of 3 batters all the way in the 2nd inning. $18 in a row set down by Anderson and now Hader. Anderson retired the final 14 batters that he faced, and Hader's retired the first 4 since coming on in the 7th. Dr. Barnhart quickly behind 0-2. He's 0 for 2 in the game, trying to keep that hitting streak alive tonight. The Brewers early in the year had their closer out for a long time, Corey Knebel. Was on the disabled list, missed a month worth of games with an injured left hamstring, so they had a lot of other guys pick up saves. But Knebel is back and rolling again, although Hader picked up the save yesterday in the win over St. Louis, and that's his 3rd strikeout of the 5 batters he's faced.
As usual, this guy just dealing. Away, 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 and then an inside fastball just freezes Barnhart.
Hader has basically become, in the National League, what Aroldis Chapman was in the National League in terms of the strikeouts. I mean, he is the strikeout leader among all relievers, and it's overwhelming how many batters this guy has struck out in the number of innings he's pitched. We gave you the numbers a little bit earlier. 109 strikeouts now in what, 60 innings for Hader? Pretty impressive. Cleveland finished off Boston a shaky 9th inning, but Cleveland wins it by a final count of 5-4. That's Kluber who shut him down. He gave up 3 early runs, and Boston scored in the 9th, but left the winning run on base. St. Louis off and running in the top of the first, already scoring in Los Angeles tonight. Atlanta shut out the Pirates 1-0 tonight. Only 3 other games besides this one in the National League. Three balls, 1 strike. Dixon, and a count of 4. Hader trying to close him out in the 8th. Pop up. This will end the inning. 1, 2, 3 go the Reds. Wow, what a pitching performance here tonight.
Set, we warm you up with Reds Live, the pregame edition, brought to you by Ray St. Clair Roofing. First look at the lineups, features, tech talk, and as we got tonight, Tom's tidbits and more. And you also hear from tomorrow's starting pitcher, Sal Romano, on tomorrow's edition of Reds Live. It is Sal Romano versus Junior Guerra, 7:30 for Reds Live.
Well, Jim Day, going to be a busy week for you. I know, moving on to Chicago. And, you know, we start those games at 20 after, so Jim Day, a lot of extra sniffing around in that Reds clubhouse, as he's prone to do even at 05 starts. But he'll be busy. Jared Hughes to start the bottom of the 8th. Ryan Braun, followed by the pitcher spot, and they'll hit for Hader. They'll bring in Knebel for the ninth. And looking down there, it looks like it's Keon Broxton with a bat in hand. The last 20 Cincinnati batters that have come to the plate have been retired by Milwaukee pitching in this game. 20 in a row. Hader the last 6. Anderson retired the final 14 he faced, and they took him out of the game. So far, that has proved to be a perfect decision for Mr. Counsell. Not a single base runner. Three and two still on Ryan Braun. He's bounced to third, single to center, and popped up to Jeanette. And he walked it. With that sinker down and away. Well, the Redlegs take on the Padres Saturday, September the 8th. You can be there as low as $12, and thanks to Queen City Sausage, the first 20,000 fans get a Joe Morgan replica statue. Boy, that's nice. It's the 5th anniversary of that bronze statue dedicated to the Reds Hall of Fame second baseman. Tickets available at Reds.com. I have no doubt Joe's watching the game right now.
Better believe it.
He's dialed in virtually every single night. Got to make sure Joe gets one of those replica statues. Keon Broxton is a pinch hitter for Hader, who goes 2 innings, no hits, 3 strikeouts, no runs, no walks. Braun has 9 steals, been thrown out 3 times. There was a time Braun was getting you 20 plus every year, and I tell you what, he still takes a lead like a man who looks like he's going to run. He takes one of the bigger leads of any player in the game.
Yeah, he does. He's always been a good base runner, just beyond his speed. Takes extra bases, gets a good secondary lead.
Guys like Broxton and Domingo Santana, they have watched their playing time just fall off the table. And really, it was during the offseason when they made the decision to go get Yelich and sign Lorenzo Cain. But these guys can hurt you. Broxton shoots it down the line. They're going to wave around the runner. Here comes the throw to the plate. And he is safe. Run scoring triple for Keon Broxton, makes it a 4-2 Milwaukee lead.
Now that's where that extra little bit of a lead you get at first base, the secondary lead, enables the third base coach to go ahead and wave him around confidently, even with nobody out. Broxton just shoots it right down the line. Looks like a breaking ball that he just puts a pretty good swing on. Fools the defense completely on that, and by the time that Phillip Ervin can get it back, even with hitting the cutoff man perfectly, he's not able to get the runner at home.
So now runner third, Reds bring the infield in. And it's ball one to Manny Pena, who's had a good night with 2 hits. A stolen base, robbed of a hit on a nice play made by Suarez. Could easily be a 3-hit night for Pena. You know, we were talking about Broxton and some of these guys. Santana. You know, you look at Broxton last year hit 20 home runs for this team. He knocked in 49 runs. Well, that's nothing compared to Santana. You know, you do what these guys did in the big league. Santana hit 30 home runs last year. Knocked in 85 runs. This ball is blasted to straightaway center. Will bring in another run. It's 5-2 Milwaukee. Chris, I don't know how many teams, just real quick to finish that thought, decide to all of a sudden sit a guy on the bench who hit almost 280 with 30 bombs, 30 doubles, and 85 batted in. But that's exactly what happened to Domingo Santana.
You're right. And then I think he ended up down in the minor leagues.
That's exactly right. They decided Kane and Yelich was the way to go, and so far so good for Counsell and the Brew Crew. A rare off night for Hughes. We're back in a moment. Wandy Peralta trying to pick up the final 2 outs of this Milwaukee 8th inning. It's become a 3-run lead. 1-run game until the 2 runs here in the 8th. And Arcia mashes the first pitch from Peralta to center field. We were saying we know Joe Morgan is dialed in tonight. That he is. Hall of Famer watching every single Reds game. Nice to have him in town during the homestand.
Good to see him. Looks good too.
He does look good. and one on Yelich, who hit a long home run to get the Brewers on the board. The Reds, if you're just tuning in, the Reds had a 2-0 lead in this game in the 5th inning with 1 out and nobody on. Yelich hit a home run to left center. Then in the 6th inning, they get a single by Aguilar. Nice play by Suarez, waiting on Scooter to get to the bag, and his throw pulls him off the bag. They wouldn't have doubled up Yelich anyway. 2 down in the inning. And after the single by Aguilar, it was Travis Shaw on an 0-2 pitch who hit a home run into right field, putting the Brewers in front 3-2, and it stayed that way until this bottom of the 8th. Bailey is a pitcher of record tonight, and even though he goes 6 and allows 3 runs, the record is what it is. He would go to 1-11, and the Reds in his 17 starts on the year would be 1-16 as a team. 1-16. And bear in mind, the Reds are 14 games under 500. Now look, there have been a lot of those games this year, especially early in the year before Bailey's knees started bothering him, where he pitched well enough to win 4 or 5 games, at least at minimum. Kane hit by a pitch, stole a base, has a single, bounced to first, and then an infield hit that he legged out in the 7th inning. Straight away center. But 2 huge runs in the Milwaukee 8th. Couple of hits, 1 left. 3 outs to go. Brewers in front 5-2. Highlights here from the players before and after the games. Follow along at Fox Sports OH. And now for tonight's IGS, bringing the energy against relief pitching this year. How good have the Reds been? How about #1 in baseball? Highest batting average among all teams. That's pretty interesting, isn't it?
Well, the Reds have done a good job scoring late in the ball game, and that's the time that you're going to see the relievers. They'll see a good one here this evening. Jeremy Jeffress, longtime major leaguer, has been in and out of a Brewer uniform a couple of different times. And mid-90s fastball, very good curveball. I mean,
And they have two legitimate studs. Both of them are all-stars. Yeah, like you said, Jeffress and Hader. It will be Mason Williams to lead things off for the Reds here in the 9th inning, down 5-2. 20 consecutive batters set down by Milwaukee pitching since the second home run of the 2nd inning. Reds hit 2 of them. One by Suarez to lead off the inning. 2 batters later, Irvin a home run. Not a single base runner before the home runs, in between the home runs, since the home runs. On Mason Williams, back to the top of the order, and Billy Hamilton next. Foul out of play, and it's 1-2. Pitch, and that'll break up the 20 in a row. Set down as Williams a pinch hit single into center field to start the Cincinnati 9th.
He did it behind the count. Williams did. It looked like Jeffress tried to sneak a little breaking ball in there after basically spotting up 2 fastballs in perfect spots. He leaves the breaking ball out, and Mason Williams gets a solid base knock. Get another runner on base and make it kind of interesting.
Yes, indeed, especially with the big hitters coming up. And you've got Hamilton now. He's 0 for 3 in the game. And there's a strike. Nearly 28,000 on hand here tonight. Good crowd indeed for Monday night. Reds down 3, but they have the leadoff man aboard. And it's 1 ball and 1 strike to Hamilton. And now 2 balls and a strike after missing there. Two and 2. Jefferson, cursory glance over there at Williams. They're not even holding him on. Bottom fell out of that pitch.
Well, that is some serious action on a 2-seam fastball. Jeffress can dial it up to about 96 or even higher than that when he wants to, but he takes a little bit off and just kind of pronates his hand early and gets that ball to sink down and away from Hamilton. Really kind of running out of the box as he was making that swing, and that's why they're pitching him down and away.
You know, Jeffress is an example to a lot of young people out there. Heck, and not a lot of older people out there. I mean, heck, older people make mistakes too, but everybody does. But Jeffress was a guy who really had a hard time staying out of trouble coming up through the minor leagues. Had a number of failed drug tests, that kind of thing going on, and you know, the talent was always there. And Milwaukee gave him a chance. He nearly messed that up. But then he got his act together. And, well, he has become one of the better relief pitchers in the National League. Well, when you're blessed with that kind of arm, man, and everybody's been given something, don't want to mess it up. And he almost did.
Well, let's not make him out like he may have been a drug addict or anything.
No.
His failed drug tests were basically for a substance that is legal in about 10 states now. But they are illegal in the minor leagues.
And thank you for clarifying that. I didn't mean to insinuate, and it probably came across that way.
Of course, when he failed his first drug test was back in 2007.
Yeah.
So that's before really any of these states have adopted legalization of marijuana. But the point is, and it should be well taken, that, you know, he was up against the very last strike.
Yes.
And that's when he got it together, and look where he is right now.
3 balls and a strike on Peraza, trying to get that tying run to the plate. And the Reds will bring the tying run to the plate. This 9th inning belongs to Jeffress. No one else getting loose out there. And the Reds have 2 guys coming up now that have a combined 45 home runs this year.
Yeah, the 2 guys that Craig Counsell really did not want to have to see in this inning.
Suarez earlier in the 2nd inning hit number 28. And I guess you should tack on one more to that. I stand corrected. 46 home runs after you give that one to Suarez. Scooter Gennett has 18.
Scooter will be up here ready to swing at the first something that he likes. Boy, how sweet it would be for Gennett right here.
And right for a sharp grounder to third. They double him up. 10 a game.
Now the first pitch right to the third baseman, and what a turn out there by the Brewers. They're able to go to 5-4-3. Hernan Perez makes a turn, a good stretch by Aguilar. And just like that, the Reds rally down and the Brewers end up winning it.
All righty, 5-2 the final. Reds winning streak comes to an end in the first of 3 in Milwaukee tonight. Back with more in a moment.